What's going on, guys? It's Mirwin. We're here with episode 2 of the Create Convos podcast. Today we're going to be having Play-Doh. You guys might know him from the song Green Eyes. You know, he sang the hook on that song. If you're watching this, you know my music. That might be a way you know him. Yeah, he's got it right there, right in front of him. He's ready. How's it going? Caleb?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Merwin?
We're doing good. Excited. All right. Like I said, if you watch the first episode, we're trying to keep these a little bit shorter on time, just so, don't want to take up the whole day, I guess. But we'll just kind of get started here. So Caleb, me and you, we've been doing kind of music together for a while. I remember, back right before COVID started, I went over to your parents' house with you and making beats and stuff like that, kind of showing you GarageBand, had the MIDI keyboard and stuff like that. So kind of, why don't you just tell me here about, kind of how you got started with music, maybe even, doesn't necessarily have to be that specific story, but, just where your first kind of interest in music came from and how you kind of started doing that.
So believe it or not, my first interest in music, it was always an upcoming thing growing up. I always liked music. I always liked hearing it. I always had a passion for making it. I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't know if this will be too time consuming. I got to get a job. I got to do this. So I was just like, so I ended up working at Chick-fil-A, where you and I met. And I had this tragic story. Well, it's not really tragic. I went to go play basketball and I got a concussion. And so my voice, I started stuttering very bad. And so I didn't really know what to do. In that time process, you were making music and you're like showing all this stuff. So I had the idea, maybe I should use that kind of to help me get my voice back in order. So I used it as like voice therapy at first.
Yeah, for sure.
And as you can tell through that music and through that, I'm actually speaking pretty normally now. I don't have the stutter as bad as it was. I don't know if you remember that at all.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't, to be honest. I didn't really know that.
Oh, it was pretty bad. Like there were days where they sent me home because I just couldn't speak to anyone.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then that was just like little stuff though. I wanted to get behind the technical aspect about it, and so I was just like, I knew you made music, so I came up to you and I was like, yo, can you teach me like how to keep beats on time and how to like really like, and you're like, yeah, I'll show you. You just gotta click that button, you just gotta time that with the lines right there in the middle. You just gotta do that. And so from there on, it was just from the little lessons that you taught me, I was able to really start my music pace.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, no, honestly, I didn't even like remember all that. I mean, obviously that's why we have this conversation while we're asking, but like I don't remember all that stuff with like, your voice and things like that. So that's definitely cool how like, you kind of use that to get into it, and now you're like, still doing it and stuff like
that. It's a huge passion. I mean, I'm doing it for my church now too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you had told me about that. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, just kind of keep moving forward here. Like I said, you obviously, we both have a huge passion for music. And just, creating things in general. What are some of like the artists, it can be music, can be music related, whatever that, you have kind of looked up to or have like kind of inspired you in your music and like what you create?
So NF is definitely the top person right there that I really look to. I can't relate to his life because, we all have different lives.
Sure.
But the music aspect behind what he does is something that I find very valuable. His type of tone, I love the dark beats that he does. I love the trap beats he does, and that's kind of the way I like to set my pace as well, is the dark trap beats, but they're also they can be up there with pace, and it's really fun. So he was definitely the one I looked up to the most. And honestly, I looked up to you a lot too, because you kept moving forward and you kept working your butt off, and you're almost there, man. And watching that was an inspiration to just say, like maybe I'll have a lazy day or whatever, and I'll just like I hear like see a music video, or I hear you something new you're creating, and I'm like, dadgummit, why am I not working as hard? Come on now, you gotta start, you gotta run that race, man. Come on.
There you go. There you go.
Those were the two main. I mean, you and NF were the two main people that I really looked up to during my music start.
Nice. No, I appreciate that for sure. Just kind of talk about, just kind of following up on that. Like, how do you think, because obviously I've heard your music a lot. You don't have like a ton of music out there. So like I've heard like tons and tons of stuff, so for people watching this, they probably aren't familiar with you in like your music. Kind of how has NF, how have you taken, you know, his music and what you like about that, and kind of taking it into what you make, you know, and kind of do your own thing with it. And like, how have you like taken what he's done, been like, oh, I really like that? Because, you know, there's artists I love and I'm like, oh, I really like what they've done, but I still want to do, like, you know, be unique and not just, you know, copy paste. So kind of how have you done that?
So I mean, his style, I mean, I would say is something that I value. I don't ever want to copy anyone else's music. All my music is either stuff that you and I make or stuff that I solely make. I just go based off of like what he does. Almost, he has this line where he says, I don't know if I'm making movies or music videos. And I really like that line, because that type of music is almost to the point of where it is like a movie. It's suspenseful. It, you know, it can hit you. It can, you know, make you want to cry. It can make you want to do all that type of stuff. And that's really what I want to, that's why NF is that person I really take my music to, is because he has that, you know, that punch to what he does. And I hope one day I can get there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. Like I say, NF is someone, you know, I listen to as well, and, you know, I've known for a while, you know, before I really even like kind of got into rap. I was kind of more so into like the Christian side of rap. So NF was someone I was like, you know, pretty like, you know, I knew of and stuff. So like, you know, the thing I always appreciate about him, and we're kind of in the same vein here, is just, you know, he's got kind of the real music phrase, which is like, you know, his like part of his brand or whatever. I think, you know, all of his music, you know, there's so much like, you know, the emotion behind it. And the feeling, like you were talking about, you know, the, you know, kind of just how, you know, it can make you cry, different things like that. You know, he's got, you know, the one song, I think, how Could You Leave Us, where it's talking about like his mom, I believe, and stuff like that. So just like, you know, that emotion behind it is always something that I've really appreciated about his music. And, you know, always there's something you can learn from any artist, but I think from him specifically, he does a really good job of like, you know, having that emotion, you know, like just bringing that to the music for sure. So
he's for sure, I mean, that slogan, you know, real music, I mean, that's all he's about. He's real. He doesn't talk about fake crap. He really doesn't. So I mean, that's kind of what I want to do with my music. I don't want it to be fake. It's about my life experiences. Not one life experience is going to be the same. It might be similar, but it's not the same. So I mean, again, NF has he's real. He's not like other rappers out there that are fake, you know. They're living a rich boy life and they're acting gangster, you know, or they're living a gangster life and they're acting like, you know, they're a city boy or something like that.
Sure.
So I mean,
yeah. Just kind of, no, for sure. Just kind of following up on that, just kind of, you know, so you're talking about like your, you know, your life experience, bringing that into the music. Obviously something I try to do a lot. I think every artist, you know, for the most part wants to do that. Just kind of talk about how you do that. Like, you know, I know you talk, you know, obviously, you know, we both produce our own music. You know, I think we connect a lot about, you know, making the beats and things like that. Just talk about like the lyrics and like the content of the songs. Obviously, like I said, you know, you don't have a ton of music out, but, you know, I know you showed me, you know, your verses and things like that. Just kind of talk about how you've been able to like take your life experience and the things you've gone through and just kind of put that into your music, you know, through the lyrics and stuff like that.
So rap is probably the easiest way to talk about like my feelings and like stuff that I've been through. I've tried it with other genres out there. I can't do that. Rap is the only one for some reason. Excuse me. Rap is the only one for some reason I can really, like, I can be emotional. I could scream. I could yell if I'm mad. You know, I can cry if I need to. I can, you know, I can let my feelings out. So when it comes to like lyrics and stuff like that, I really look for some of the areas that I've learned through. So like my past mistakes. Like, what did I learn through my past mistakes? And my hurt. What have I learned from my hurt? You know, what have I learned from being raised by loving parents? You know, what have I raised from, you know, disobeying them and doing my own thing? You know, it's all about your upbringing. Yeah,
no, for sure. No, I love that. Yeah, like you said, I think, you know, we've kind of talked about a little bit about this next album here. By the time this comes out, this episode will probably be out before my next album, but like kind of, you know, it's cool just kind of how that like weaves together with, you know, what I'm working on, where, you know, kind of the theme for the next album, the big one is like everybody has a story. You know, so like you say, everybody's life perspective is different, and, you know, just kind of sharing that with people, you know, is always like a huge thing for me. And so that's definitely 100%, I agree. Just kind of talk about here a little bit, moving on, like I said, you know, we've both been doing, I think, when do you think was the first part when like you kind of really started taking music like intentionally? Because like we've kind of both been similar maybe structure, or maybe just, paired together almost in a sense, because,
Yeah,
we've been working so much together. But when do you think that moment was? What kind of switched for you?
definitely right after, I would say, that big stretch of COVID.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of time you don't really know what to do with yourself, so you have to find out something to do. If you're not at work, what are
Hmm.
you doing? You're not going to be
Right.
doing yard work every day, you're
Can only
not
cut
going
the
to be
grass so many times,
exactly. You
yeah.
can only do that. I mean, what's next? Scissors? I don't know.
Yeah.
um but I mean, so that's probably when I started really taking it seriously, was right after COVID started, and right after my concussion, and it was something to do. I knew I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing it professionally. I mean, is that a dream? Of course it's a dream. I would
Yeah.
love to do this professionally. Um, but if it doesn't happen, I mean, it's an outlet for me. I mean, to
Yeah.
be able to
100%.
express. I'm not good at speaking about my feelings to random people. I can't just tell
Right.
you what I'm going through. I'm not that. I mean, unfortunately, I'm just not that guy. So the way I express it best, and where people can understand where I'm coming from, is through the music.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm definitely the same way. I think,
Yeah.
when I like, and I think we've talked about this before, but like, a lot of, especially the earlier stuff for me, that was a lot of those
Hmm.
experiences, like you were talking about, like the hurt and like kind of the negative side of things.
Yeah.
What I was talking about and like what made me like kind of write that stuff was birthed from those experiences. So like definitely,
Right.
I think having that as like an outlet, not purely as a just like a commercial thing where it's like, oh, I'm making this song so I can like make money or things like that. I think it's
Yeah.
definitely like super important that it's, still personal to you and like still connected to that. So yeah, 100%. What kind of, you have, honestly, I think you probably make more beats than I do. You got like a ton, you got like a ton of beats.
Yeah, I
So
got too many.
never a bad thing, but kind of moving to the next question here. I remember, lots of times where, you would send me, oh, I made this beat, Snapchat, send me all these things. What's something you've created that you are most proud of? So, it can be a couple things, a song, beat. What's something that, you've made that, you listen to it and you're like, man, this is like super good. I'm really, happy with this song, whatever, all
Yeah,
that.
probably my song that's out on SoundCloud right now. It's called OD. It's talking about a time where it's pretty dark in my life, and yeah, I was doing things I shouldn't. I mean, I was doing drugs. I was drinking, like, to the point of where it was not healthy for me. I mean, I hung out with people I probably shouldn't have hung out with. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the storyline for OD is a time where I was at a party and something was laced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I started spazzing out, and I thought I had OD'd. I
Mm-hmm.
was definitely not there.
Yeah.
Um, Thought I was gonna die that day, and no, I didn't. So that song is talking about that night where I almost OD'd.
For sure. Yeah. And like you said, we worked on that song together, with,
That
I think,
was awesome.
yeah, we worked on that song a bunch of different times. So, definitely, that's definitely my favorite song from you, I think. So, I 100% agree with you. And again, kind of like what we've talked about earlier with it, your personal experiences feeding into the song.
Yeah.
Um, how the process of writing that, obviously that's like a crazy experience and, lots of like emotion behind that. How was writing that song for you? Just like kind of, was it difficult to write about? Do you find it easier to write about those things? Because for some people, thinking about like
Yeah.
the stuff they've gone through, sometimes it's harder to talk about those things, especially, like the stigma and things like that. So like, was it harder to write that song? Do you think,
Definitely not.
yeah.
Definitely not. Like I was saying before, it's hard for me to speak to people like face to face about like what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through. So it was pretty easy to write it on a piece of paper and to actually rap about it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the easiest way I can talk to people, is through my music.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, I would be glad if you're going through something, I'd be willing to talk to you about it, but music definitely is the best way I speak.
Nice. No, yeah, that makes sense for sure. Like I said, we're trying to keep this short, so we'll just kind of keep moving on. I really love this conversation where we're going here. What's something you've been working on recently? Because like I say, we kind of talked about, we're both kind of in the same boat where, we both want to kind of do music as like a career. What's something you've kind of been working on? I was talking about my album. What's something you've been working on you're really excited about, song,
Yeah.
project, different things like that?
Yeah, so I have a lot of songs. So
You do
each
have a lot of
song,
songs.
yeah. So each song, of course, I get really excited for. So I'm always excited to be able to express some musical talent that I have and just let it go. I think the one I'm most excited for, I have too many. I have to remember the names of this. The song, it's not released yet because I'm waiting on you. Is the
Oh, that I know
unknown.
what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So once that's done, that's the one I'm most excited about.
yeah.
So
The
that one is also that one's talking about basically I feel unknown in this world, and
mhm,
someone's there trying to tell you like, no, dude, you I see you, you know,
mhm.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm just like, nah, I'm unknown, homie.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. No, like I say, I need to record that for you at some point here. But like I say, that song, I think, yeah, definitely 100%. Like I say, we've worked on that one as well. Definitely a very cool song. But just kind of moving forward again here. We kind of both again. Also, I think it's cool just because both of us, we're kind of, again in the same boat where we both have jobs, we're working full time, trying to
Yeah,
do the music in both. How has like that balance been for you, and kind of how have you navigated that? Because like I said,
right.
you have, we both kind of work a little differently. Whereas like I think if I like I said, we've known each other for a while, so I could be wrong, but I think you just kind of, you do a lot of things, but maybe not necessarily completing all of them. Whereas I'm more a
Yep.
little bit like where I don't make as much, like not even close to how many beats like you make and stuff like that. But I kind of more like once I have an idea, I'm gonna finish it out, but I'm gonna be making a lot less.
Yeah.
So just kind of talk about like maybe your creative process and balancing it with like work. You just had a kid, all that stuff. So like kind of
Yeah.
how is
It's
navigating that been?
it is tough, I will say. Working a full-time job, that hours are kind of they're a little, I would say they're unsteady. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't really know when I'm going to have time to do something. So when I make something, I'm trying to make it short so that like I can try to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I
Mm.
can't complete it, it gets lost into the memory bank of, oh, do I
Yeah,
need to,
the
you
folder.
know,
Yeah.
exactly. And you just keep scrolling. Should I work on that one? Should I work on that one? Actually, this one is better than that one, so maybe I should work on that one. So it all depends on, unfortunately, it all depends on the day. Like today, I had time to do this with you, so I was just like, you know what? Let's get this
Hmm.
done. Let's do that. This is what I was excited for. So that's
Right.
another thing
Right.
that I completed. So that's awesome. The next song I have, uh, hopefully I can complete it. I plan on doing that next week.
Nice.
Not, it may not be the lyrics, but the song at least I would like to
For
complete.
sure. For sure. No, 100%. Like I say, I think for me, I got my whiteboard over here where I have like everything
Yeah.
gridded out and laid out for me and stuff like that. But I think we both you kind of have maybe a little similar focus, but like just with different levels,
Yep.
I guess. Where it's like hey, I'm just gonna try and do something. I think I've told you this before, where it's like every day, I just try and do something. Moving
Yeah.
forward with the music. So like I say, there are days for me where I'm like I was kind of to be honest, like I was kind of in a slump like lyrically a little bit.
That's
Cause
where I've
like
been too.
like I went on like a crazy run like like 2 months ago where I wrote like
Yeah.
4 songs in like 3 days or something like that.
Which
And
is
then
crazy.
which
Holy
is
moly.
yeah. But then like, I had like 3 songs for the second album that I'm releasing next year. That I still had to write for. And just like I couldn't really find anything. Like it felt like the words weren't really coming. So, during that time when I couldn't really like write anything, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna make some more beats,
Yep.
kind of just following the inspiration wherever it is.
Yep.
So like say, for you, when you have those moments of like, because obviously you know what you need to work on. Like for me, I'm like,
Right.
oh, I need to work on this song, I need to record your verse for you or different things
Yep.
like that. But like, maybe in the moment I don't really feel like doing that. I feel like doing something else.
Yep.
How do you kind of again navigate that where it's like, I know I need to do
Yep.
this,
So you
but
got to be able to
yeah,
have discipline. That's if,
yeah,
especially when you start moving towards the industry, you need to have discipline because they start giving you timelines where you got to complete stuff.
mm-hmm.
So even though you may not want to do it, it's something that you have to discipline yourself to be able to do.
Yeah. And I think too, like for me, the more like a lot of times I think it's almost like a mental thing too, because like there's a lot of
Yeah.
times when like I have some part of like a beat or a song or like a verse or whatever that I've put off for like, longer than I should have, where I'm like, if I just got this done, the song would be done. But then like I go out and I do it and I'm like, oh, that took like 20 minutes. And then it's
Yeah.
like, and then it's, you know, I completed it, it's done. So I think a lot of times, like I say, discipline is obviously huge, and like the work
Yeah.
ethic is obviously like a major thing that I think a lot of people don't really think about, where, you know, it's all about, you know, just like, oh, you know, you just gotta, you know, like make good music or things like that. But I think the work ethic and the discipline is like a huge thing to like
It's
making
huge.
it into a career and things like that.
You got to be able to work on the things you don't want to work on. That's how you get things completed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, nice. Okay, we got time for a couple more questions. We'll just do a couple more here and then we'll wrap it up here. So, like I say, you being like kind of, you know, like I say, again, I think it's something I've always appreciated about our relationship is how kind of, you know, we're in maybe a little different spots in the journey, but I think we both kind of started at the same time of like being like
Yeah.
super intentional with it and like, you know, okay, you know, I'm gonna do this for real now and stuff like that. What has been like, you know, obviously every person, regardless of, you know, if you're trying to do music or, you know, maybe you're trying to do like basketball like you were at one point, you know, when you have a dream, there's always going to be like a lot of discouragement or like times when you feel like you don't make it. Honestly, yesterday I was feeling like pretty down on myself. I'm like, man, I don't know if I have the money to do this. I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, whatever, all these labels, you know, they got like these massive budgets. How am I supposed to compete with that? But how have you like felt that? You know, I think everybody goes through those doubts and insecurities. How have you felt that, and how have you kind of like combated that, I guess?
Yeah, so combating it is one thing. The feeling part, that's a whole nother thing. Two sections there.
Yeah.
The feeling it is when you know you have a talent for something and people in your life just they don't care, they don't want to care, they don't think that you're good at it, they don't want you to be good at it because it's their image of who you are.
100%.
You can't be going off of who they think you are. It's who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Preach. There you go.
Yeah, literally. You can't be going off of other people's words. So like, I know for you, whenever you post videos up on TikTok, there's a lot of people hating and a lot of people shouting different things. For one, guys, shut your mouth. I don't care. Okay. He's working his butt off. Okay. Keep that mindset of this is who you are. They have a different interpretation of who you are. They don't know you. You know you. So you got to keep up that hard work and keep going strong with it. And then fighting through it is literally what I just said. You got to keep telling yourself, you know, you're worth it. You're good enough. People may not like it, but if you keep going with it, I mean, even NF started with maybe 2 people at a concert.
Right.
You just got to keep going. Eventually it'll catch on.
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, I think I'm right there with you with that, like that mindset. I think, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, kind of alluding to what you were saying at the beginning, where it's like, you know, we both know a lot of people, you know, and, you know, you see them like maybe support other people, you feel like, you know, but they don't support you or things like that, you know, but, you know, you got to kind of remind yourself again that they're going off of their perception of you. Like I say, it'll catch up eventually, hopefully. And then, you know, I think also just kind of that idea of, you know, kind of just remembering the why, I think has been big for me of like, you know, those people that, you know, I think in the beginning it was really tough for me when, you know, I would see, you know, oh, there's all these people I know. I just did this thing that I'm like, you know, I just kind of like, you know, like with Heart, which was the first like project I put on Spotify. I
remember that.
A big part of, you know, what I've gone through the past 2 years for like trying to open up about it and like, you know, through the music, like we just talked about, sharing my personal experience and not really seeing much quote unquote support from people. You know, that was definitely tough for me, but I think you just gotta, again, remind yourself that they might not see like like we both have a better understanding of ourselves and our talent than maybe they do. They just have the perception like, you know, oh, you just work this job, this whatever, you know, all that stuff. But yeah, like you said, you gotta remind yourself of, you know, what you believe you're capable of, and like, you know, I know the music I've made and what I'm going to make, you know, and I feel like I'm confident that I can do this. And yeah, you just gotta keep reminding yourself that. So yeah, that's 100%, you know.
Yeah, and again, it's your life story. If people are hating on your life story, then what are they?
Yeah, you know? Right. And I think something I've read or heard too is like, you know, the people that like your music are gonna like it. The people that aren't gonna like it. So it's like if they, you know, like I said, those hate comments, you know, that's something that I think has helped me too, because I think, you know, you've had comments like that, you know, and you're, you know, whether it's from real life from people, you know, or, you know, social media, just that, you know, if they don't like the music, it was never meant for them anyway.
Yep.
But the people that like it are gonna like it. And I think there's lots of people making music, but I think sharing your life experience through the music and like it, you're pouring your heart into it. I think people feel that and they hear that. So people are always going to be attracted to that. Like I said, going back to NF, I think that's part of what made him so successful, is because he's able to do that. So like consistently throughout his music, there's not really songs where like you were talking about, like quote unquote like the fakeness. There aren't really songs from him where it's like this is just kind of a filler song. Like, what's he really talking? It's like real consistent with putting yourself out there and like putting yourself in the music. So 100%, I agree with all that. Like I say, we're getting a little close to the time here, so I think we'll wrap it up here. Great conversation here. I know we'll have, like I said, I told Josh too. I'm sure we'll have you on more here throughout the months and stuff like that. So love this conversation. Last question here, we'll just wrap it up here. So kind of plug yourself here. Like I say, I know obviously we've talked about you make a ton of music. I know you want to release more. Where can people find you? What's like the best social media? Where can people find your music? We'll have your on the graphics as well, but where can people find your stuff if they want to listen?
Yeah, so right now I'm just on SoundCloud. Look up Play-Doh. That's all it is. That's where I have 4 songs out right now. And then if on social media, again, I mean, there's Play-Doh Studio Productions. That's on TikTok and Instagram. So I post a lot of my music and or shorts like that on there as well.
Perfect. Cool. All right. We'll have those, up in the graphic. It's probably been on there for the whole video by the time this is edited. But, so yeah, make sure to check Play-Doh out. Like I said, we've been doing music forever or, for a long time here. So, definitely make sure to check him out, show him some love as he continues to like drop music. If you're listening to this, definitely encourage you guys to go check him out. Well, I think we're all done here with episode 2, Create Combos. I'm sure we'll have Play-Doh on again in the future, but that's going to be all for today, guys. Peace.